Okay, a quick lesson about ellipses and cylinders. Okay, I've got here a cup, a measuring cup. As you can see from this point of view, basically you're looking straight into it. You've got an axis goes straight down, and we've got a perfectly round top. So what happens when I tilt this a little bit? Well, you can see that the axis, which would be in the middle, if I put my pen here, make an axis. The axis actually has a relationship to the shape of your ellipse. It stays, the major axis of your ellipse will stay at right angles to the central axis. The minor axis of your ellipse will always stay in the same direction as the rotational axis in the middle. So don't get confused between the rotational axis and the minor and the major axis of an ellipse. They're different terms. So what we want to get control of is this. Basically, we need to always know where the rotational axis of your cylinder is and construct our ellipses accordingly. What you'll also notice is the angle of your point of view is also important. So if you're looking at a cylinder from the side, we don't really see any cylindrical shape. We really see just a very small curve here. Now, as the cylinder tilts towards us, this rotational axis tilts towards us, you can see it's getting rounder until it becomes completely round. As it tilts away in this direction, oops, that's not quite in the middle. If it tilts in this direction, you see it's getting flatter. So, we can construct this in a square, in a block form, but really to sketch freely, you want to just get a bit of a feel for what's going on here. So let's have a quick go. I'm going to draw just some axis lines. So first of all, I'll try and draw a circle. So in this case, the axis, we can't see that line at all. It's just coming straight towards us. So if I was going to draw this cup, I'd just have to draw two circles inside. I've got 1 point perspective. We've got these side lines coming in towards each other. Now, if I was going to tilt that cup a little bit forward, like this, I would draw this point. We would see that it's actually a line. And then what I'm going to see is the major axis here and the minor axis here. And what's going to happen here, the major and the minor axis are the same length, so they're both, just axes. And here what's happening is this axis, as this tilts forward, this axis is getting a little bit shorter. So then you want to draw an ellipse that's a little bit flattened out. Now that's probably a little bit too much, actually. So that's getting higher. What's going to happen then? I would draw at the back another, and you see you then get a cylindrical shape looked at, seen from above. So what happens if it tilts then a little bit? It's not just tilted down, but it's also tilted across, which is a generally more useful angle drawing. Well, I'm going to draw then the rotational axis. I'm going to draw a little bit, like this, and I'm going to draw a line this way, which is what we call the major axis of your ellipse. And now I'm going to have to estimate a little bit. Now, considering that if I'm looking straight at it, it's round, and it's tilted away a little bit, about halfway. So, I'm going to have to estimate a proportion for my for my ellipse. So let's just go with this. What you generally have to do is you draw it and then you just look at it and adjust it as you need. Okay, let's just go with that. I want to then draw the back. So I'll draw these lines first, considering convergence. Remember, sides are going to all come up towards vanishing point up here, so these lines converge. And then I'm going to draw a line that's at right angles. Remember, right angles doesn't mean in perspective right angles, it means right angles. So at 90 degrees to this. So it has nothing to do with perspective, it just has to be right angles. Now, and then you want to draw another ellipse shape here at the back. And that's how you get basically a cylinder in perspective. You want this to be rounder than this one in proportion, so this might be a little bit too round at the front. So what happens if I want to draw something with a little bit more of an angle? Then I'm just going to, again, take into account my point of view, remembering that if I look straight into an ellipse, it's rounder. At this angle, it's getting towards, coming closer towards horizontal, so then I need more of an angle, right? Less, it's got to be less round. What happens if I go completely on the side? Well, then I've got what we would call one-point perspective. As you can see here, you don't see much. You see a little curve. So what's happening here is these ellipses are. I'm going to draw small ellipses. One here and one here. So we've got two small ellipses, and then don't forget that this is the front edge here. And this is the front edge here. So these are vanishing points going that way. Basically, that's the key to drawing, you know, and you can see I'm drawing quite a lot of lines. I'm not being too precise, but you can always clean these things up afterwards with some marker, color and stuff. So the point of the exercise is really just practicing drawing cylinder shapes at different angles, remembering that you always start with your rotational axis and then you draw the major axis at right angles to that line. Estimate the roundness, considering your point of view, and if it looks more like an egg shape, well, you just have to make it a little bit rounder. But always make sure that your major axis, so the longest symmetrical division, is at right angles to your rotational axis. Okay, we'll leave it at that. Now the next lesson I'm going to look at dividing these shapes and drawing vertical and horizontal sections through cylinders on a horizontal plane.